What if DC Comics had no superheroes, no capes, no multiverse, but instead just brutal sword and sorcery characters, epic wars, and lost civilizations? Well, if you took Dirty Harry and mixed him with Conan the Barbarian, you would get The Warlord, one of DC's most ambitious stories ever told that almost no one talks about today. The story follows Travis Morgan, a US Air Force pilot shot down over the Arctic, but instead of dying, he actually falls into a hidden world inside the Earth. There he fights alongside Tara of Shambhala, a warrior queen and Morgan's lover, battles the forces of Deimos, a necromancer who keeps returning through sorcery and technology, representing tyranny's persistent. He befriends Machista, a former slave turned king, his father to Jennifer Morgan, and has adventures with everyone's favorite Warlord character, Shakira, a mysterious woman who can turn into a cat. And I also assume she has hips that don't lie. The world he crashes into is Skataris. This is a place that's lit by a permanent inner sun. It's filled with ancient city-states, dinosaurs, and warlords, and is powered by the remnants of a lost Atlantean technology, which is often mistaken for magic. In the book, Morgan rescues Tara, aids her city of Shambhala, and gains a reputation as a great fighter. His 44 Magnum gives him an initial edge, but as ammunition runs out, he's forced to hack, stab, and chop his way through this barbaric world. The main antagonist is Deimos, a tyrant who seeks to rule Skataris. Basically, while he can die, he just doesn't stay dead. Deimos uses Atlantean machines, cloning, necromancy, and manipulation to keep returning as a threat. Morgan gradually morphs from this outsider to a true barbarian warrior who embraces brutality and violence, eventually being known as the legendary Warlord. The Warlord series began in 1976, created by writer and artist Mike Grell. Grell had previously worked on a variety of books, including Green Lantern, Aquaman, Batman, Green Arrow, and perhaps his most impactful work before the Warlord, Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes. Years after working at DC, he would go on to create what is probably his best-known book, John Sable Freelance, an action-adventure espionage book featuring a former Olympic athlete turned mercenary. I may do a video about this series in the future, as it's a pretty decent read. There were a lot of great artists in this book. Mike Grell obviously kicked things off and did over 50 issues by himself, but other creators included Dan Jurgens, Jan Duursema, Mark Texeira, Pat Broderick, Rich Buckler, Alan Coopersberg, Ron Randall, Adam and Andy Kubert, who are two of my personal favorite artists, Paris Cullins, and Jerry Bingham. As the book goes on, you quickly realize Travis Morgan isn't a traditional do-gooder hero like the other DC comic book heroes. He's impulsive, he's violent, and he's often wrong and does wrong things. He liberates cities, but then he destabilizes them. He topples tyrants, but then leaves power vacuums behind. The series forces Morgan to confront an uncomfortable truth, that being heroic doesn't mean you are actually helping. It's easy to topple a tyrant, but what do you do afterwards? While his strength is rebellion, his weakness is a complete lack of responsibility when the battle is over to rebuild a fallen empire. Another theme in the book centers around what it means to belong. Morgan continues to struggle fitting into the world of Skataris, but can't really return back home, so he gets stuck as a forever outsider. With this in mind, the series kind of becomes deeply introspective, asking questions like, can you escape who you are? Or do you just take your flaws somewhere new? Author Chuck Palahniuk, who wrote Fight Club, once asked the question, if you wake up at a different time in a different place, could you wake up as a different person? That's the main question of Morgan. Can he truly become the Warlord, or is he just a displaced Air Force pilot out of time? I definitely recommend reading The Warlord, as it's a surprisingly deep book. It talks about unintended consequences, leadership without certainty, intervention without clean endings. That's why it somehow feels modern, because it's asking questions that are still relevant today. And that's why it remains one of DC's most underrated achievements. And now there's an omnibus, so you can actually go pick it up today. Thanks for watching. Cheers.